Hello and thank you for tuning in. I'm James Cleveland.
And I'm Daryl W. Perry. In local news, this past Thursday, Keene resident James Walters arrived home around 3 p.m. and noticed Keene PD's Officer Short sitting in his driveway. Officer Short said, "I'd like to ask you about this sign," pointing to an anti-Romney political sign. Walters asked, "Am I being detained?" and Short said no.
Walters asked Officer Short to leave his property, and after a brief back and forth, Short asked for a receipt showing proof of purchase or the sign would be taken. Walters informed Officer Short that if the sign was taken, lawyers and the media would be contacted.
Short informed Walters that the Attorney General allegedly called the Keene Police Department personally, demanding that they take that particular sign. According to Walters, Officer Short then made a phone call and took the sign. Calls to the Attorney General's office were not immediately returned.
Earlier today, the U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the case of Krinsteg v. John Willie and Sons. The case revolves around the first sale doctrine, which allows the owner of a lawfully obtained copyrighted work to dispose of that copy without the approval of the owner of the copyright.
At issue in this case is a practice of buying cheaper foreign textbooks and then reselling them to students in the U.S. This is done under the first sale doctrine, but some copyright owners insist that federal law does not allow it.
Sip Krinsteg came to the U.S. from Thailand to attend college and decided he could offset the cost of his education as a textbook dealer. His family would buy foreign editions of textbooks in Thailand and send them to him. He resold them to students and made a small profit.
The books sold by Supap Krinsteg were published by John Wiley and Sons through an Asian subsidiary. Wiley sued him in federal court in New York, and Krinsteg sought to rely on the first sale doctrine. A federal judge rejected the claim, concluding that the doctrine does not apply to goods made in foreign countries. Wiley was awarded $75,000 in damages for each of 8 textbooks for a total of $600,000, even though Krinsteg only sold $37,000 worth of Wiley textbooks. The Second Circuit Court upheld the award, agreeing that the doctrine does not apply to a foreign-made product.
3 circuit courts have heard cases regarding the first sale doctrine, and each court has made a different ruling. The Second Court ruled that foreign-made works can never be resold in the United States without the copy owner's consent. The Ninth Circuit decided that a foreign-made product sometimes can be sold in the U.S. without permission, but only after the owner has approved an earlier sale inside the U.S. And the Third Circuit Court says that a product can always be resold without permission, so long as the copyright owner has authorized the first sale that occurred overseas.
You know, as a book publisher, I find this rather disturbing, especially since I don't claim copyright on what I write or most of what I publish. I generally use Creative Commons, which allows pretty much anybody to sell copies of the book, whether they purchased the copy or made photocopies of the book, so long as me as the author or publisher, as long as I'm credited with being the author or publisher of the book. So this is really disturbing, and some places have actually tried to say that this, Supreme Court ruling, whenever it does come out, would apply to everything sold within the U.S. that's resold, claiming that it will shut down flea markets and yard sales. And that's actually not what this case is about at all, because this case is specifically about foreign sold products. So instead of relying on the first sale doctrine or claiming that the first sale doctrine is being violated, the copyright holder could actually claim that the importation doctrine of the copyright is being violated.
Yeah, it's very confusing, and I would argue that like the whole college textbook thing is pretty much a scam anyway.
College is a scam.
Like it's just a money-making scheme that these textbook manufacturers, in collusion with the colleges, basically get free money out of their students.
I remember, and I was in college well over 15 years ago, but when I was in school, it seemed like most of the professors would actually change up the textbook every couple of quarters or semesters, making it harder for people to resell their used textbooks. So as you said, it's a big giant scam.
Yeah, the university I went to, there is only one bookstore on campus, and a former student graduated, and he opened a bookstore, and they basically tried to run him out of business. They told all the professors to not tell him which books they're using. Like, he ended up running a successful bookstore, and to my knowledge, he's still in business, but it's been an uphill battle for him, even though it's a successful company, because he can undercut their monopoly.
Right. And now a new segment on the show, Man on the Street Interviews. Hello, this is Daryl W. Perry. I'm here with ShireTV, and this is a new segment that we have. This is Man on the Street Interviews. So we're going to walk around downtown Keene and see what the people of Keene think. All right, I'm Daryl Perry. I'm with ShireTV doing Man on the Street. I'm here with
Greg, JR, Jake, Rainey, Kyle.
What is your position on medical marijuana?
I think it's a good idea because it's a free country and people should be able to choose what they want to do. Personally, for like New Hampshire, it's live free or die, so I think it's alright too. I feel like people should do whatever they feel like. I don't really care that much.
I'm with
Paul Evans.
Paul. What is your position on medical marijuana?
I personally don't think it'd be that big of a deal if it was legal or not.
Josh.
And Meredith.
What is your position on medical marijuana?
I think that if there's medical reasons, it should be used, and patients should have that option.
Meredith?
I agree with that. I think that it can definitely benefit people who are sick, and it has really good benefits, so it should be legal.
Hi, this is Daryl Perry. I'm out doing Man on the Street interviews, and I'm talking with
Fenn McCall.
What is your position on medical marijuana?
I think you should be able to use it. Definitely, it helps in many ways. So, yeah, definitely use it.
Do you think it should be legal overall or just for medicinal purposes?
I think it should be legal overall. It's not hurting anyone, and everyone uses it anyway. So why not?
What is your opinion of the new state law that says that you should show an ID when you go to vote?
I mean, I agree with it. Definitely, like you got to be of age, so why not?
What role do you believe that government should play in education?
I think the government should provide education for people so we can better our own country. That's about it. Yeah, pretty much. Education is supposed to be like the #1 thing for like kids and people, but I feel like they're just making it harder and harder for people to get their education. So, yeah.
Hi, this is Daryl, and I'm with Chris Chase. Do you think that taxes overall are too high, too low, or about right?
I'd say about right.
And what are your thoughts on secession?
I don't think it's a good idea.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Last Thursday, Ian Freeman from Free Talk Live was arrested in Palmer, Massachusetts for filming inside the Palmer Town Hall.
Freeman, who is also running for state rep in Keene, was charged with 2 counts of disorderly conduct.
He was in Palmer to show support for his friend, Jay Noon, who had his house stolen by town officials.
The house was being auctioned off in what was supposed to be a public auction. However, only people who brought a $5,000 bank check or money order were allowed to attend. The rest of the public, including the media, was barred.
Here is the video of the events leading to Ian's arrest.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Usually it's down here on the left.
I'm actually here on the left.
How's it going?
Good, yourself?
Good. Hey, you seen this yet?
I see you do it day over time. It says other white stuff. Last week or something here in Poncho.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I do it up. The wife's kicking butt now.
Hi, sir. I live here for the
Where's the auction
He
at?
works for this link. He works for the town.
Hey, where's the auction?
Signature on it.
Excuse
The
me.
auction's gonna be right here.
Denise?
Right in here? Yes. Okay, great.
But you cannot video.
Actually, I can.
Not in here, you can't, sir.
I did last time, and I will do it again this time because it's freedom of
Just wanted to let you know right
it's
now,
freedom of
sir.
the press.
There's signs.
Just because you
posted
post a sign
on
doesn't
everything.
mean you get to eliminate the freedom of the press. And are you familiar with the Glick decision?
Sir, I am just
I'm
telling
asking
you
you a
right
question,
now. I'm telling you right
officer.
now. There is no videoing.
What's your name, by the
in-
way?
Officer Tenzar. There's no
Officer
videoing
Tenzar?
in this town hall.
Now, Have you heard of the
Are
Glick
you
decision?
refusing to shut off the video camera?
Have you heard of the Glick decision?
Are you refusing to shut
I
off
am
the
not
video
refusing
camera?
to shut off the video camera.
shut it off right
I'm
now,
asking
please.
you, have you heard of the Glick decision?
Sir, are you
You
refusing?
might want to know about this before you before you arrest me. You might want to know about the Glick
Come with me,
decision,
sir.
which says that every public employee is supposed to be subject to being recorded when they're on duties. This was a major court case. This is a major court case out of this particular. This is ridiculous, man. You were here last time when I was recording.
Sir, let me in, please.
Come on, man. This is ridiculous. What are you guys doing? This is freedom of the press. This is a public place. This man is assaulting me because I have a video device? What is going on here?
Now, Daryl, you were actually there. You witnessed the arrest. What is your opinion on this matter?
Well, basically, the cops used their catch-all of disorderly conduct, which whenever the cops want to charge someone with some kind of an offense and they can't quite actually find a legitimate crime, they just say disorderly conduct. You didn't do what I told you to fast enough. Disorderly conduct. And I believe the police report stated that Ian raised his voice, was causing a disturbance, and interfered with the registration process for this supposedly public auction. Well, there's three things that are wrong with that. First, the registration process was taking place in a different room. It wasn't taking place in the hallway. Ian only raised his voice after he was basically under arrest. He hadn't been told he was under arrest yet, but you just saw the video. You can see he's already being escorted down the hallway before he actually raises his voice at all. And the ones that were causing the disturbance were the police officers.
Yeah, that's true. I've actually seen the video, I think last year, Mr. Freeman, Ian, he recorded another tax sale.
He recorded not only inside the building, but he actually recorded the tax sale that was open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and after he was arrested, I stood outside the police station area of the town hall trying to find out what was going on. Was he going to be released on bail? Was he going to be held in jail overnight? Give me some kind of idea what's going on here. That way I know whether I have to stay in Palmer to wait on my friend to be released or, drive back to Keene. And after maybe 5 minutes, I was told that I couldn't stand in that area, that I had to go outside. So I walked back down the hallway to roughly the area where Ian was arrested, and another officer said, "You have to go outside. Can't go into the auction." "Nope, it's closed, only registered bidders." I had my press badge on me, so I pulled it out, showed it to him, said, "You're kicking out press, like media can't go in." "Nope." "So you're admitting to violating freedom of the press?" To which he agreed, yes. Unfortunately, there's no video of that because the batteries in my camera had died, and even if they hadn't been dead, I would not have risked getting myself arrested, especially since I had the keys to the car. So that would not have been good had two people got arrested for basically a violation of the freedom of press under the catch-all of disorderly conduct.
Now, Ian was arrested, and the same day he was brought to court.
Yes, he had his arraignment that afternoon. Luckily, he was able to be arraigned that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Had he been arrested 30 minutes later, he would not have.
And what happened in the courtroom?
Well,
recount for the audience here.
No one could take any cell phones or cameras into the court. They have signs everywhere. No cell phones allowed in the building, no cameras. So all cell phones and cameras had to be left in vehicles. So, there's obviously no video of that. However, the judge asked two questions that I thought was really strange. And I know they don't do it here in New Hampshire. They don't do it in Alabama or South Carolina, both places where I've had court. They asked, how old he was, and what his highest level of education was, which was really strange. And then because one of the disorderly conduct charges was a violation of the town ordinance, instead of do you plead guilty or not guilty, they asked, do you take responsibility? And Ian was like, I'm not really sure what that means. I don't generally take pleas. And they said, well, go talk to the prosecutor. He had a discussion with the prosecutor and went up before the judge and said, basically, I want this to go away. So if you can just give me a fine, but suspend the fine for good behavior. Mm-hmm. And the judge said, I don't know what that means. And then, after he explained, she was like, well, how will I know if you behave? Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, apparently in Massachusetts you have something called on file, so can you put it on file? And she didn't really accept that offer. She was like, for $50, this will go away. He said, can I donate that to charity? She said, this is not negotiation time, come back in December. So, unfortunately, Ian has to go back to Palmer, Massachusetts in December and now faces a city violation and a misdemeanor, neither of which carry jail time. Mm-hmm. So, apparently, in Massachusetts, the first misdemeanor does not carry jail time. It's only a fine. But that could potentially hurt him because he still has some time here in New Hampshire hanging over his head for good behavior.
Now, Ian, as he was interacting with the officers, he repeatedly mentioned the Glick decision.
Yes.
Would you explain that to the audience?
Well, Simon Glick is a lawyer from Massachusetts who was charged with wiretapping for filming court proceedings. And the Glick decision is a decision that came down from the First Circuit Court that states that public officials, while on duty, have no expectation of privacy during the commission of their duties. Mm-hmm. So, just because they're on the clock, if it's their lunch break, then, they have some expectation of privacy while they're eating lunch. But if they're on the clock performing what's supposed to be their job, they have no expectation of privacy. And that is one reason that I believe that they did not charge Ian with wiretapping, is because they know that the wiretapping would fail. And the signs that you saw in the video that said posted no filming at town hall were made up and posted the same day, because according to the police report, the arresting officer said that they had reason to believe that protesters were coming to try to stop the event. And there's an article written by a reporter from the Springfield Republican, which is a newspaper from Springfield, Massachusetts. And she actually called the Massachusetts affiliate of the ACLU. And I believe it was the director of the ACLU in Massachusetts said, just because you think that something will happen is not a legitimate reason to prevent free speech or free press. So I am very, very confident that these charges will be dropped once Ian does go down for court in December.
Yeah, what was the court date again?
December 10th.
Okay. In an upcoming election, 3 candidates are running for NH State Representative, Cheshire District 16, Libertarian Ian Freeman, and Democrats Chuck Weed and Delmar Burridge. The district covers all of Keene, and only 2 of these 3 men will be elected.
Of the 3, only one, Delmar Burridge, who has a wiener dog on his signs, seeks to perpetuate the endless war on drugs that is helping destroy this country from within, just as alcohol prohibition once did. Here's a short clip of Delmar defending his inane position.
Now, you're also kind of infamous as the representative who told Toby Island to snitch out his friends. What was with that? Or at least that's the perception.
I'm sure it is a perception. Because he blogged and did lots of things. Fine. That's what's to be the perception. Fine. That's not what went on. And I don't want to be a part of slandering anyone or violating confidences. You know, it's kind of all sad.
So you don't feel like people should rat on their friends when they find their friends are smoking marijuana?
What's that?
Do you feel like people should not turn in their neighbors and friends if they find they're smoking marijuana?
That's how all crimes are solved. People snitch on somebody. Cops aren't there to just see you doing something wrong.
So you're saying it is good, it is appropriate to tell on your friends?
I would encourage him not to do this anymore. It's against the law.
But would you encourage people to tell police if other people are doing marijuana?
I would encourage anyone to tell the police if they see or know anyone committing any kind of offense.
How is marijuana? Who's harmed?
For any offense, I would. Hey, you should go tell the police what you saw, no matter what.
What if it were illegal to be a good Samaritan? If it were illegal to do it, if it were illegal to do something that is moral, you would say that people should be turned in for that too?
Give me an example. I don't know what
well, say it was illegal, and before the 60s and before the 50s, it was illegal. Well, during the
this is my better. That's why.
Oh, okay, during the slavery era, it was illegal to harbor slaves. You're saying people should be turned in even if they're doing something like that? Just because it's illegal?
Do you actually think I believe that?
No, I don't. Of course not. But see, it seems like you're saying that someone should be turned in just because they're doing something that's illegal. Is that sufficient cause to turn somebody in?
When someone breaks the law, that's all I'm saying. You can put any words you want to it. When someone breaks the law, I'm going to encourage anyone to tell the police. That's being a good citizen, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony.
Now, it's very interesting that Mr. Delmar there, he advocates that you become a snitch and you basically turn in your friends for breaking laws.
Not only does he advocate being a snitch, he says that it's fun to snitch on your friends. And this apparently all started when one of the hosts of Free Minds TV emailed Delmar Burridge a letter asking him to support a marijuana decriminalization bill. And Delmar Burridge, who at the time was a sitting state rep, sent a reply that said, "I'm forwarding your letter to the Keene Police Department, and you would make a really good snitch because it's fun to snitch on your friends." And I forget, I think it was Toby Island was the one that sent the letter. He actually read the letter and the response on Free Minds TV. And you can find that video on YouTube where he reads the letter. And then Dave Ridley caught wind of it and went to Concord and then caught Delmar in the hallway and asked him about, supporting marijuana decriminalization. And Delmar has just a inane position, not only of not supporting the right of people to put whatever they want in their body, but of then saying you should snitch on your friends if they break any law. Any law. Which means, James, unfortunately, I'm going to have to call the cops because I'm pretty sure that I saw you put water in a milk jug, which is it's a crime here in New Hampshire. So, that's a law. That was violated, supposedly. So should I then call the cops to report that? According to Delmar, yes, I should.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, that he took the letter and he basically sent it to the Keene police. So he was snitching on someone for supporting marijuana. It's not like the gentleman said, I smoke marijuana.
Right. Well, Delmar does advocate snitching. So, snitches are going to snitch. It reminds me of an incident a few years ago when the We the People Foundation sent letters of or petitions for redress to every member of Congress. And there was one member of Congress in Missouri that said, I'm forwarding this letter to the Department of Justice and the IRS because I believe that you're a tax cheat for sending me this petition asking me to abolish the IRS.
Yeah, that's really interesting because if politicians are, if you're going to try to redress your grievances with them, and then their response is, well, I'm gonna turn you into the authorities.
Right.
Like, you really don't have the option to actually redress your grievances then.
Well, and the Supreme Court has actually ruled that while you do have the right to petition for a redress of grievance, no government official is required to actually answer those grievances. And here in New Hampshire, RSA 339.22, which is a really outdated section of the statutes, states that every city in New Hampshire is supposed to have an inspector of illuminating oil, petroleum, and naphtha. Well, no city actually has one. I've spoken with the city attorney about this, and his response to me was, I'm not doing anything. This is an outdated statute. Go talk to the legislators in Concord. So even when you do find a legitimate thing that they're not following, and then you go try to petition, the response is pass the buck.
Yeah, and you know, one of the major reasons for the War for Independence was King George was not responding to the redresses that were sent to him.
Well, and the colonists at the time, they wanted the basic rights of an Englishman. You know, it didn't start off as a war for independence of we want to be our own nation. It was we want to have the same rights that every Englishman is supposed to have.
Yeah, on that point, it was a good show. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Join us next week for another installment of ShireTV for more news and analysis. I'm Daryl W. Perry.
And I'm James Cleveland. May you each find happiness, peace, and prosperity.
And with the hurricane coming, be sure to hug your babies.